Couple things, people. Let me check this audio. I ain't got time. Um, I have two videos I want to react to. Beautiful, outstanding. As you come in, if you can just touch the like button ever so slightly. Want to talk about two things. I hear myself. I thought I did. Tory Lanez, Henry Ruggs. They caught my attention for very few reasons. Well, very important reasons rather. Bruh, 10 years, bruh. The same with Brittany Griner. The issues she went through. Um, Good lord, a decade, bruh, is a lot of time. We get right into it. Get right into it. We'll start with Tory Lanez. I haven't seen too much or read too far into what's taken place so far, um, but this is interesting, and I found a perspective that I think is quite balanced. 51-49 towards the woman or so. In this case, being Megan. So let's see what this video has to say.
This Los Angeles courthouse, once again at the center of the legal saga that's captivated the music industry and beyond. Tory Lanez's role in the shooting of hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion, the Canadian rapper born Daystar Peterson, known for hits like Love. Everyone falls in love sometime. You gonna have to do more than just. And Say It. You gonna need to do more than just. Sentenced today to 10 years for shooting Megan Thee Stallion in 2020.
That's tough.
You were in the room when the sentence came down. What was the room's reaction?
There were a few gasps, a few sighs, but I think people knew it was coming.
Tory Lanez's attorneys were asking for probation and substance abuse help, saying that alcohol played a large role in this case. I think a lot of those arguments fell on deaf ears.
This case has been pretty significant because...
So here's my issue with the court system as a whole. Because as I was listening to the story unfold, I was kind of keeping score in my head. I think a lot of people were. If you look at City Boys and DJ Academics and Chat Nigga, Grand Wizard, what have you, the narrative was completely man versus a woman. I'm like, yo, City Boys, we up. The evidence is lacking. Ain't no way he getting. I don't think anyone was thinking 10 years. So in this case, it's a weird situation taking place where the evidence should be pretty cut and dry, right? And of course, the details come out, the evidence comes out later. So let's continue. But this is ridiculous, bro. The whole situation is comical.
It's allowed us to have a really uncomfortable conversation about the mistreatment of Black women. It's been a conversation that I think a lot of people have been uncomfortable to have,
especially men. Because the Johnny, that was Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, a lot of lines being drawn in the sand as of late, between opposing forces. Like we want this narrative to prevail. Are women victims? Should we believe all women? Are women lying? Are women out to get men? All these different narratives. And my bad, it's constant foolishness. It's nonstop. All right, it's men's turn to be the victim. It's women's turn to be a victim. Black women's turn. I have a question for both sides of the aisle. At what point do we believe whether or not a court is fair or balanced? It seems purely based on the narrative. If I want him to be guilty and he's guilty, justice, of course that everything was cut and dry, the exhibits were laid out, the evidence was obvious, and of course we're all behind the court system. But the second it flips and the person is found innocent, or a person we want to be found guilty, they walk free, now all these questions of is the court system flawed, and now we're questioning people's reporting. Like, all right, is Megan Thee Stallion really out to get Tory? Like, was she out to get him, or was he guilty? And the whole 10 years, that's a whole argument and conversation. But I don't know whether or not Do we trust court systems or don't we? The jury's been out for decades at this point.
Megan, born Megan Pete, known for hits like Body and Hot Girl Summer,
Handle me? Who gon' handle me?
was nowhere near the courtroom, but still made her voice heard. A victim impact statement delivered on her behalf.
She talked a lot about the mental health impact of this shooting on her life, and she's physically recovered. But the
At some point, if we're going to have judges, if we're going to have lawyers, if we're going to have courtrooms, we either believe people or we don't. And of course, there's going to be plenty of people that are going to be found, they could be caught up in a court system, trial, and it's going to be he said versus she said, and their name's going to be dragged through the mud. But at what point can we sleep at night saying, if I make a report of something, people are going to believe me, or the narrative? Torey was trying to win this in the media. Again, the media goons was out there pushing a narrative. Yo, he ain't do nothing, bruh. Like, save my guy. And again, none of us know. All we hear is different stories, and he's doing interviews and podcasts, what have you. And of course, that's what you should do, because if there's a narrative out there and you have the power to fight it, the opportunity, try at least. But at what point do we have to have 4K video on everything? What's the point of the court system if we're gonna look at a video and say, all right, clearly this person did something, and then the court finds him innocent, and then the cases that we have no evidence on, none whatsoever, guilty. It's stopping to make sense. And of course, this is why I try to avoid 2 lawyers and a judge at all costs. I'll pay any fine. I don't want to be near 2 lawyers and a judge. Period, Brett. It's too much. You just praying for the right side to make the right decision.
But the thing the letter conveys is the emotional scarring.
The 28-year-old urging the judge for a stiff sentence, saying that she has not experienced a single day of peace since the incident. She added that Lanez made a mockery of her trauma and said her statement was for all survivors, that their lives matter. And
at some point, and especially as a man, at some point, they all can't be lying. Again, the 10 years is crazy. 10 years is crazy. But at some point, Brett, they all can't be lying about this stuff. Every single one that comes up, you tell me every single one of them? Like, again, I'm not believing all of them, but all of them can't be lying either. The percentages have to have some type of weight or bearing on the conversation, especially when we're talking about bullet holes. Now, again, I haven't been watching the trial whatsoever. I'm just going off this video. I'm reacting kind of live because I really don't care that much. But from what I have been following, a lot of shit don't make sense. Either you got shot or you didn't. There was a gun. Whose gun? Unregistered. It's foolishness, of course. But at some point, either women, like, we can't just, if someone said they got shot, I'm just going to assume they got shot because the evidence should be obvious. It should be obvious. So, yeah, I'm kind of past the point of just, all right, this whole gender lies. This whole gender tells the truth. It's not true, bruh. It's not true.
And that there is zero tolerance for the torture that accompanies violence.
I think Meg Thee Stallion having a victim impact statement being read was important because it really kind of reminded people that there was only one victim in this case.
And something about, the Alabama boat brawl foolishness. The black people that I've been encountering in the last 72 hours or so, 48 hours or so, there's a twinkle in their eye. Every last one. I promise you, I kid you not. You make eye contact with a brother, he's driving his truck. I'm going here, gas station, whatever. And Brad, I passed one brother this morning. I was doing an Amazon route. And Brad had like almost the exact hat. And I was like, if he throw that hat, Brad, I'm slamming on my hazards, Brad. I'm hopping out. We throwing hands on site, Brad. That's crazy. You'll be throwing your hat and like on site, Brad. Yeah, absolutely foolishness. But in regards to the point I was going to make, I'm starting to see a trend, and it's more so anti-women, and not and don't get me wrong. I'm a black man living in this world. There's plenty of arguments for the red pill. that there's a surplus. We got all the footage in 4K, all the logical arguments laid out, and plus I have my anecdotal experiences as well. But if a black woman, in especially in light of what just happened in Alabama, as far as the false alarm kidnapping, what have you, it's going to be a lot of that, especially in the world of clout and the market of clout and the economy of clout. There, there's good reason to have your name ringing around the world, especially if you're monetized, especially if you're monetized. But I'm starting to see a trend of like how many black women are going to say, "Yo, this happened to me," and we not believe them. Now, of course, the system is set up in a lot of ways to just automatically believe women in most cases. But even in the media, like people are going out. She's already rich. She already got clout. She already got fame, and maybe it is a drug like that. Who knows? But at some point, like again, I have two sisters and a mother. So if they tell me anything, if they say anything, somebody put their hands on me, I'm believing them. Face value. Face value. So there's a false unbalanced belief system in place where if we like somebody and we like their message, we don't care what they say. Go. But the second they're on the opposing side of the aisle, we, we even question the court systems too. We question all the court systems. We question all the cops. At some point, you're going to want to call the cops. And at some point, you're going to be sitting next to the lawyer, God forbid, across from another lawyer and a judge. And I pray the system is as rational as we think it is when the person we want to win wins. That was a mouthful.
A woman was shot. That woman was Meg the Stallion. And I think a lot of times that fact got lost.
The 31-year-old Lanez was convicted in December of last year, but for more than 7 months, he and his legal team have tried to delay the sentencing.
The 10 years is actually not expected. He could have gone to jail for
10 years is outrageous. Is outrageous. There is countless stories. Henry Ruggs, for example, in the same, we'll be covering that video next. He actually killed someone and a puppy, a fuzzy. Ain't no way in the world they got the same sentence. It's crazy. Brittany Griner's about to get 10 of them things. They just throwing out decades worth of sentencing. Brett, you better not steal. You better not speed. No, they passing out 10 years like it's easy, Brett. That's a decade. That's 10 iPhones.
22 years and 8 months, but because of sentencing guidelines, it's much lower than that. But also, Tory Lanez is not an American citizen, so the immigration implications come with it as well.
Over the course of
these Canadians, bro, are taking over, bro. Like Drake and that ilk, they're taking over.
2 days, 7 people speaking out in support of Lanez, including his father, asking the judge for leniency. Chaplain Miles McNerney and Gary Lawson with the LA County Jail describe Lanez as a man who values his faith. You talked about what exactly are these prayer calls?
He actually started this thing called a prayer call where everybody turns off the TVs at 9 o'clock and then he initiates a thing where he starts praying or breaking in scripture.
That sounds like he's trying to save on a light bill, which everybody should be turning their phone off at like 9. Turn off the Wi-Fi, turn off these lights. So.
And then everybody follows suit.
Lanez himself addressing the judge, saying, if I could change that night, I would.
He pretty much asked for a second chance, that he didn't want his life reduced to this one terrible decision. Now, of course,
one of my greatest, and I hesitate to use the word, and I don't even like thinking about the whole thought process surrounding it, and the mind map that leads to an inevitable result. I think all humans at one point are going to have a moment that, unbeknownst to them, that moment is so pivotal to the rest of their life. And it may happen, it may have already happened, who knows? But I feel like especially grown men, adult men with access to stuff and vices and foolishness and bad decisions and quality decisions and businesses and breaking the law and all these different options. I think every man at some point is forced to come to arrive at the possibility that your next decision could be the worst thing you ever do. It could be the catalyst to your entire world coming down. It's a scary thought that everyone has the opportunity, even now, in any given moment, to do or say or make the wrong decision, and everything crumbles around you. It's a crazy thought, but it literally happens so quickly, and you have no control of it outside of grace and mercy, and in a lot of cases, wisdom, where you try to avoid the whole situation completely. Like, I don't want to be near the opportunity. Like I've lived around guns. My best friends, they love guns. Shooting range. Been in the military myself. Qualified on all these, various, weaponry. I just don't want to own it. I don't want it near me. No, my fingerprints were not on that gun. There's no way. I don't want to hold 12 gauges. I don't care. I don't want to own it. I don't need one. I'm not in danger. I'm fine. I don't need a gun. In a lot of cases, your proximity to a gun just increases your probability of something, applicable to you now happening, or now having higher probability. It's crazy how that works, but yeah, the amount of gun incidents that happen, and not so much accidents, or not even someone dying, but just gun incidents. You can't just walk away from that. And so again, the probability of somebody breaking into your house and you need to shoot them dead, I don't know. I guess that's up to you.
Of course, he did not admit to the shooting. I wouldn't say necessarily he apologized to Megan, but he did say he still cared for her.
The defense also submitted 76 letters of recommendation, including one from pop star Iggy Azalea. Azalea later posting she didn't know the letter was going to...
Oh my God. Do I even feel like reading all this? For the record, I have not been in touch with Torey for months. I have no reason to be, but I do wish him well. I don't support anyone. The whole thing is full of oddities. My letter never mentioned anything in regard to what happened that night. I was told this was for a judge only, yet it's being disclosed in public. Of course, bruh. I never intended to publicly comment. I'm not in support of throwing... I feel like you should have known better. In 2023, bro, you should have known better. Like, what happens if you say anything? Like, it's out there. I'm not in support of throwing away anyone's life if we can give reasonable punishments that are rehabilitative. Instead, I support prison reform. Period. Now we're running for office. I was asked to write about my genuine experience and the type of punishment I think he deserves. I did. It's not really that interesting, but I understand why it's being sensationalized. See you next week to discuss pizza toppings, I suppose. Why are we still discussing pizza toppings? They should be done. Meat lovers. Well, there's nothing more to discuss. There's not really here. So first of all, saying that you're not picking a side, no, it's clear that somebody asked you to write about, it's probably a lawyer or two. But of course, we know that there was a first cause. So of course, I think in most cases, from people in the audience, people just outside looking in, it seems so circumstantial that it could have been any of the gun was unregistered. Apparently, that's one of the charges. Honestly, I don't know. And just because someone's a celebrity doesn't really mean much today, because another celebrity's losing 10 years of their life. Their celebrity status did not help them avoid that 10 years. So yeah. The weight of, I guess, Iggy, because she dated somebody, Nick Young, I think, don't really hold no weight, especially in a court of law. So it's unfortunate.
Going to be made public, saying, I will
mention this. It's important to recognize who speaks up for you when you're down bad. Often your best supporters are just silent, especially if they have ammo against you. It's just important to be aware of those type of moments. If you see somebody struggling, just look at their circle. What is their circle doing? Are they defending them? Are they remaining silent? The silence is not always betrayal. The silence sometimes and often is, I'm just not going to also come at you as well. You got to fight your own battles, but I'm also not adding to your problems. I'm just not going to subtract from them. So yeah, just be mindful of those type of things. It's intriguing to observe people, when they're going up and down, the ladders of success.
Don't support anyone. Lanez's legal team outside the courthouse today, calling the sentence too harsh.
Torey did not get the sentence that we had certainly hoped for. I have seen cases.
Got your check, buddy. They gave you life, Brad. It's crazy.
Vehicular homicide and other cases where there's death, and the person still gets less than 10 years.
It's absolutely, I've never heard, and it's almost like and obviously Brittany Griner was a different country, but the Russians were giving her 10 years. The Russians for weed that like she actually broke the law, clear as day. Now he did as well, but how in what world do they both get 10 years? They both wrong. Like both of their scales, their spectrums, whatever they're using, that shit don't make sense, bro. 10 years is outrageous for almost shooting somebody or grazing somebody or shooting somebody's foot. 10 years of somebody's life. You know how much technology changes, how the economy changes, how marketing, especially in today's world with AI, everything changes within a quarter. Within a quarter, there better be some updates, some changes. Apple comes out with an entire new phone. Now it's pretty much the same ingredients every year. Right? It's crazy. Somebody thinks, I don't know. Maybe this is not why it's not up to me. So
Prosecutors standing by the outcome of the case.
Over the past 3 years, Mr. Peterson has engaged in a pattern of conduct that was intended to intimidate Ms. Pete, silence her, and keep her from defending and bringing her truth out.
The sentence, like the shooting itself, a lightning rod for debate, even though she was the one who was shot. To a lot of people,
I'm not gonna lie, Torey was trying to use the media heavy to get any type of defense, plausible any distance from the situation to make try to go away. And the media is crazy pressure. I mean, you got the entire world, especially broken down by demographics, male versus female. Everybody gonna pick their side. All women immediately are putting themselves in her shoes and seeing the world like, yo, if something happens to me like that, will people, run me through the podcast ringer, run me down around TikTok and YouTube a few times just because I was like something actually happened to me. Like something actually happened to me. At what point does anyone report anything? I came out my house. What time is it? It was like 4:35. It was mad early. And there was a white lady out here with her dog, and the dog started barking at me. Again, it's mad early, it's dark, and so of course I'm like, hi, miss, excuse me, I'm just walking past to my car, immediately trying to prevent any type of fluid. It's nonstop. Just knowing what a dial to 911 would do to my life. Potentially, it could just be normal. I'm just walking my car. I don't want anything from you. I'm good. It could be that, or it could escalate immediately to he looked at me the wrong way, and now you see your boy chalk outline foolishness. So, I don't know. Trying to use the media, it seems as if a lot of judges are making examples of people, to where if you're ever the first to do something, I'm like, all right, this is new under like the new internet rules. It seems that if people are coming up with creative ways to go viral, such as Jussie Smollett, 2 Africans attacked me and at 2 a.m., 31 degrees below zero, MAGA country. Again, some of the stuff is just obvious. I'm like, all right, so a toddler was on the side of the road. No other car saw it, but you did, and now you're not grabbing the toddler, you're just following it with your car, and then some people came and grabbed you up and the toddler. I don't know. But in a case like this, again, if a bullet was fired, it had to go somewhere. It had to touch somebody. The whole car, who knows, bro? But I don't see why situations like this are so difficult to comb through. It should be black and white, but unfortunately, and again, 10 years, that's crazy, man.
It seemed like Megan was the one on trial.
Megan Thee Stallion was not on trial, and yet we saw culturally she was.
This case becoming a symbol of how our society treats women, particularly black women and abuse survivors.
As a black woman, we're often the targets of violence, and when we speak up about things, people don't believe us.
Raising the question, if a massively popular 3-time Grammy Award winner is not believed, who is?
There's a way that Megan was never seen as vulnerable. And some of this is due to her being a black woman. Some of this is due to her being this tall.
Now, of course, she would not be to blame for that potentiality or high probability. Could be either or. But one thing I've noticed, just with language in general, if you call someone strong, the first inclination is to test the strength. Like, yo, this thing can carry anything. All right, let's try this. Let's like in a man's mind, we love seeing cause and effect in action. When a man says, yo, I'm strong, man. How strong? Stronger than you? Yo, you hoop? Yeah. You can't guard me though. Like immediately our first inclination, let's test this theory. Well, in cases, yo, smoking weed, I promise you, I could be writing a thought, point A to point B, clear as day, and the line breaks. I'm like, yo, what was I just talking about? Let's keep going. Yo, if this happens again, I'm just going straight to bed. I promise you.
Voluptuous woman. Some of this is due to her persona as Meg the Stallion, Tina Snow, this very public and dynamic.
That's what I was saying. So, and I'll just get to the point because it's usually the tangents that cause me to miss the whole point. The point being is that strength will be tested, fragility is protected. It's as simple as that. It comes down to perception. If your marketing says, yo, I'm strong, I'm fast, I'm agile, I'm flexible, the market is only going to look to test that theory. That's why you have tech reviewers for every single device that comes out, because their first thought is, yo, let's see if they were lying. Let's see if the marketing is true. And so, yeah, in the case of Black women, a lot of the marketing, especially not of their own doing, like let's say in the media or what have you, or Hollywood, and again, they are participating, but in the greater, the bird's eye view of things taking place, you can see how the marketing for Black women has been strength, strength, strength. Everyone wants to test that. If the marketing was fragile, someone argue a lot of Asian women carry the petite, the soft, the feminine marketing, and everyone's that's probably why they're number one swept right on a lot of dating apps, and in general, their perception is, no, she's easygoing, quiet, soft, meek. That's marketing, and people want to act like marketing doesn't have an inverse effect to where people are often they're looking for blood. How can I prove this right or wrong? How can I get to the point of truth? Especially, you can feed people just about anything nowadays as far as truth is concerned. Mainly because a lot of feelings are taking place and taking place of logic and rationality. Let's continue.
Dynamic sexual appetite in her performance, and all of that combined to make her someone who was easily vilified and certainly not vulnerable.
The ordeal began in July of 2020 when Megan was partying at Kylie Jenner's house with friends, shown here in an Instagram Live. Also at the party, rapper Tory Lanez. Megan, Torey, and Megan's friend at the time, Kelsey Harris, all reported that they left the party together. Lanez later texted Megan that he'd gotten too drunk. While they were in the car, an argument broke out.
So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast.
Here's what she told CBS's Gail King what happened next.
And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, dance, and he started shooting. And I'm just like, oh.
Now, here's my issue. Here's my issue. We know, men know now, thanks to TikTok and Instagram and having sisters and wives and girlfriends. When women cry, it's obvious. It's overt. It's not hidden. So at some point, women are gonna have to evolve the crying. First of all, women are amazing at manipulation. Men learned it from women. We learn seduction from women. Perception. It rides on most of our impulses. And so I think a lot of men are catching up to the fact that, all right, just because she's crying doesn't make it true. Also, just because she's crying doesn't mean she's lying. Doesn't mean that she's trying to manipulate you. That's how tear ducts work. And so in cases like this where, bro, they got close-ups, they got her in 8K, bro. Like we can see where the makeup is well applied and even, what have you. But there's a lack of, where are your tears, bro? I don't know who to believe, bro. Because again, manipulation tends to be obvious, and it's kind of like those red flags. We see it, and I'm choosing to ignore it actively and proactively. I don't care. Well, in this case, there seems to be evidence that, bro, you're not crying, although you do sound like you are. You're not crying, bro.
Oh my God. If I take the wrong step, I don't know if he can shoot something that's like super important. I don't know if he could shoot me and kill me. Like,
were you afraid for your life at that time?
I was really scared because I had never been shot at before.
Bruh, if you have sisters, bruh, you've seen this before. And again, I'm not saying she's lying. I'm just saying I don't know any woman, period, that I've dated, lived around, period, that can cry and stay cute at the same time. It's not a thing. It's unfortunate, bruh. I mean, men can't do it either. Maybe you can pull off the Denzel, like the one singular tear. But again, the lack of tears, period. We know how women are when they're emotional. It's the most aggressive cry or the most violent cry because I'm getting hit, you know, whoop on me like, bruh, I'm sorry, bruh. Like, it wasn't me, bruh. It's overt. You know when someone's emotional, especially in the Black community, because most of us are not hiding it. Most of us are just expressing it. I mean, we just saw an example of like anger expressed. You know, it's not hidden. And so in cases like this, the evidence, I don't know, right?
Or
5 shots rang out. This TMZ video shows the aftermath. Megan struggling to walk, leaving a trail of bloody footprints.
All right, nah, I've never seen this video before. So the fact that I can see the blood pouring out of her foot, first of all, the fact that she's still walking is outrageous.
Megan struggling to walk, leaving a trail.
Walking? Now, again, women are crazy strong. Like, let's not sleep on on women, but I think it's quite impressive. She's walking, like she's still leaning on it. Like she is the stallion. Like she's fully grown, man. But trust me, that's outrageous.
Trail of bloody footprints. When police arrived on the scene, Megan did not tell them that she'd been.
And you can see it. You can see the blood, bro. Like
Shot, saying instead that she'd stepped on glass.
She was scared. It was the middle of the night. She had just gotten shot. It was.
No, this doesn't prove that Torey shot her, but somebody shot this woman, bruh. So somebody deserved the 10 years. Give somebody the 10 years. I just don't. You can't prove that who shot the person. Well, I guess that's the point of court.
It was friends of hers that were involved. She didn't tell the full, story immediately, but she did shortly thereafter.
Tory Lanez becomes identified on social media as the alleged shooter. And almost immediately after that, fans of Tory Lanez and some other folks who I don't think who even knew who Tory Lanez were, but were certainly in the business of vilifying Megan Thee Stallion, began to push back on that narrative.
Megan tweeted back at the false statements and internet memes. It might.
Let's see what she got to say. Let's not.
Megan tweeted back.
All right. This is. So I didn't even Tina Snow. All these different names. Good Lord, Brad. Pick one. All right. Black women are so unprotected. We hold so many things in to protect the feelings of others without considering our own. It might be funny to y'all on the internet and just another messy topic for you to talk about. This is my real life, and I'm real life hurt and traumatized. Now, that's tough. That's tough, Brad. Now, the fact that I just watched the video, I just watched her, like, that's not, there's no way this, unless we are just under the greatest conspiracy I've ever witnessed and been part of. It looked like she limping out of blood, Brad. Somebody shot her. So for someone, again, who shot her is up for debate. But pay the woman at least. Like, drop a bag on her. But yeah, that's crazy. Like, the video alone. Somebody gotta do that 10 years, bro.
Back at the false statements and internet memes. It might be funny to y'all on the internet and just another messy topic for you to talk about, but this is my real life, and I'm real life hurt and traumatized. Lanez was charged in the incident in October 2020, and he stood trial in December of last year.
Let's go. How you feeling today, Megan? Great.
After years of speculation and rumors, the trial lasted only 11 days. There were no cameras in the courtroom, but I was there when Megan took the stand when her voice cracked and she said, "I wish he would have just shot and killed me if I knew I was going to have to go through this torture."
Statements like that always get my attention, mainly because it's a very extreme statement, and only those who have been to that range of perceived pain understands that sentiment. Because often living through something is the memory sometimes is worse than the actual event, and that trying to unlearn and forget and to it's kind of like getting an injury in sport and then going back to playing that same sport again, trying to be as aggressive as you once were. Your mind still pulls back 10-15%. And like, all right, stand down just a little bit, bro. And so in cases like this, when I don't think anyone, and I watched a Johnny Manziel documentary last night, so I'll touch on that slightly. I don't think anyone has ever felt the pressure of the world on them, and I'm grateful, low key, to only have 3 people watching. Like low key grateful, because if I fuck up and say something crazy, I can probably guess who the 3 people are, and probably one of them is me. So I have an idea who the 2 people are, but I know if I say something, the people that clip this, I'll probably get to it first. But when the entire world, especially just being a celebrity in general, where like Johnny goes from just being this regular guy who kind of walk on to like just barely getting a scholarship to get one offer from Texas A&M, and then you see his like, here, take all this fame immediately. You're Michael Jackson tomorrow. Go, just go. Figure it out as you go. I don't think any brain is capable of containing that energy. I don't think it's like the ultimate drug, power. Being a celebrity, where if I tweet this, this market does this. If I do this, these people meet in this New York Square, and I get charges placed. Crazy how shit escalates when if I say something and then y'all 3 people go do something crazy. I'm like, bruh, I didn't tell him to do that, bruh. I think there's a weight on celebrities that none of us have perspective on, and we never will. And in cases like this where everyone's at you, I have no clue how they deal with it, but they probably deal with it in the same way you deal with your everyday life. You just kind of, Ray, I need to go live today. Should have went live yesterday, bruh. Go live today. Like my biggest struggle today was turning on this camera. Turning on the camera. I'm like, bruh, if that's my biggest struggle today, my greatest, like I've already worked. Like I've made my quota in terms of weed money and spending money for the day. I made that. I finished that around 7 a.m. Done. This was the hardest struggle. I'm like, bro, if I can just go live, I will feel accomplished today. I don't care if nobody watches. I don't care how many views it gets. I go live, bro. Imagine, bro. Imagine being a celebrity and walking out, and whether it's on your phone or in person. First of all, you can't even go everywhere in person. Like you limited in that capacity already. It's just crazy, male or female. There's a lack of empathy, and it comes mainly through ignorance, solipsism, the inability to see outside of yourself, to see, if I were in their shoes, what would I do? If somebody shoots me, bro, we go into court, bro. If you shoot me, bro, anywhere, if you shoot at me, we go into court. And it may not be criminal, but I'm getting paid. We going to civil court, bruh. Meet me at the ATM immediately. I promise you. No, of course, the inability to put yourself in her shoes, and then his shoes, and then everyone else's shoes. It's why a lot of our decisions are wrong. It's why a lot of people sound stupid. I'm like, bruh, you can't see outside of yourself. Max, she asked me a question the other day. It was basically like, what if the way you think things are is just the opposite? Like, what if you think you understand everyone and they don't understand you? What if everyone around you understands you and you don't understand them? It could be that simple. It might be that simple. I don't know. But in cases like this, there's no right or wrong answer. In this case, it's just winners and losers, because somebody got shot. We don't know who did it. I don't know.
This has messed up my whole life. I don't even want to be on this earth no more. Lanez was found guilty on 3 felony counts, including assault, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence.
So they got him on a 3-peat, bruh. That's kind of crazy. Mainly because, first of all, if I knew I pulled the trigger, I'm just trying to get a plea deal ASAP. The only reason I believe that he may or may not have done it is that the nigga went to trial. He went to trial to defend his name over a bullet that didn't kill anyone. Again, going to prison doesn't break a person like Tory Lanez. Like, in terms of his brand, it's kind of, he's R&B, but I mean, like, he does some freestyles, he rap. I mean, he on the shorter side, so no, he ain't really pressing niggas. But it's not gonna hurt his brand to go to prison. Like, you kind of come out with, like, a little extra street cred, extra 100 credits. But then also, she went to trial too. And again, women are, from my experience, women are more willing to fall through on a lie to the finish line, beyond the finish line, than men are. Men tend you kind of got me logically, and men might bend the knee there. I've seen women go to the finish line. You show them 4K evidence, like, this is your face. Like, unless AI caught you lacking heavy, and there's no. I have the DNA test. That there's no way that child is yours. I have the DNA test. That child is yours. Like, women will lie right in the face of truth. It's crazy, but to see both of them kind of play it all the way through, that's the whole point of court. And again, based on who you like in the situation is based on how you see the court system. So if you were on Tory Lane's side, the court is corrupt. We can't, like, men run, city boys, we taking an L, bruh. Run for the hills. Women, believe all women, bruh. They ain't believing us. The court finally is a step forward for Black women. We finally getting heard. Stop putting your hands on people. Stop shooting up. Like, keep your hands off our body. All these different propagandas on both sides. And, like, no one knows. It's based on who you liked. The truth is irrelevant, apparently.
Since the trial, Megan Thee Stallion,
I'm not gonna hold you. Like, she blessed though. Like, Meg different,
has begun to re-enter the spotlight, giving a glimpse into her life on social media, from workouts to cooking videos.
She just now is slowly starting to, find herself back on social media, and she's just now, doing shows again. She performed at the Essence Festival this summer, which was colossal,
So there's a lingering question, and nobody asked me, but of course I have an answer, in regards to the hatred or, like, the ongoing trend of, like, misogyny, because again, not all of it can be hidden under, oh, this is just logic, this is facts, this is stats. There's a lot of opinion embedded in there. There's a lot of false dichotomies, a shitload of logical fallacies on both sides. But in the case of, and this is why if you look at who I follow on different social media platforms, it's pretty much just like sports and, like, destination, like, planning, like trends or, like, hashtags that I enjoy thinking about. But in regards to, like, following specific people, it's too much, because at some point it starts to bleed into your ideologies, to where if I see a Black woman who's been hurt, why is my first thought, bruh, she lying, bruh? When I start watching football, like, this is my second, like, true, like, season going in. Like, I'm actually studying it, watching it, and every time I see a black person in a prominent position, like offensive coordinator or, like, head coach, I'm like, why is my first thought, how did they get that position? As someone who leans to the right, who leans conservative on many different topics, I've had to come to terms with, bruh, I think I might have a little internal issue in terms of how I view my people, how I view Black people, how I view my people, myself. How do I view myself? There's been a ton of moments and, like, crescendos where I'm like, I know logically what the right answer is, but what I just decided there, that doesn't make sense. That is, dare I say, some self-hatred, bruh. I'm this close because a lot of people, oh, he's a bleeding liberal. There it is. It only took him 30 years to arrive at that. It's not true, bruh. But in a lot of cases, I can reflect and even just looking at the people around me, the celebrities, the people in general. And you just see when a black woman says something, what is the common consensus, especially around the loudest voices? Are we believing her? Oh, she's sexy. She innocent, bruh. The second, the melanin changes, texture changes, features change. Again, I'm not here to debunk every single little ism because there are a lot of them. Good lord, there are a ton of them. But if the correlations keep popping up, all right, there's another correlation. There's another correlation. At some point, I'm gonna look at the rule, make sure the rule's not lacking in coherence. So, case like this, I'm very slow to speak on it, especially because like when the black lady went, she was kidnapped, or Jussie Smollett. It's just, all right, I'm gonna wait to the end, kind of. I was a little early on the Johnny Depp and what have you, but I can't just keep picking sides based on. I think most niggas is going with the red pill kind of the manosphere side, and then this other side we got the the betas and what have you, and the simps and so how politics is just highly binary and just false dichotomies, and it's too much. It's why I've withdrew from a ton of public discussion and a lot of stuff. It's just exhausting, man. Like, people are living angrily. I've tried that, bro. It's exhausting. Let's finish this up. There's only a couple seconds left.
And she was met with a lovely audience because it was a safe space for her to perform.
She also graced the cover of Elle, writing in an essay, "I don't want to call myself a victim."
Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm not with like her entire her message and all that. Like, we ops. Like, in most cases, bro, like, we ops for real. Like, city boys versus the little nieces and what have you. We ops out here. But again, black woman, period. Like, she reminded me of my sisters. Like, and not in like my sister, but like my sisters. Like, like, innocent or not. Like, why are people getting shot? At what point do we have a gun out in the car discharging into somebody's metatarsals, bro? That's crazy, bro. Whose gun is that?
As I reflect on the past 3 years, I view myself as a survivor. Not only did I survive being shot by someone, but I overcame the public humiliation of having my name and reputation.
Now, again, we try to be objective here, bro. Johnny Depp, every man and his mama, and a lot of women were like, the court, they finally we got some justice, bruh. Like, finally, the Rittenhouse got away, but we finally got some justice, bruh. It's trigger happy, I promise you. We just pick sides based on how we feel. In cases like this, where like we don't know whether or not the court is racist. We don't know if they are justified in their decision making and their processing. It's 1 week. Thank you. The court came to the right decision on Jussie, and he getting a little time. He slap him on the don't do that no more. Johnny Depp, he innocent, bruh. Like, believe all men. Finally, men getting their day in court. Megan, court is, bruh. They out. The hip hop companies are controlling the courts and paying off judges. It's exhausting, bruh. Like, at what point do we believe them or not? Do we believe the court system, bruh, or don't we?
Dragged through the mud.
She has not let this stop her. In fact, I think it's made her become much more of an activist than she probably planned on becoming as a rap star.
Lanez, in an orange jumpsuit, looked at his family and briefly smiled as he was escorted out of the courtroom today, his lawyers vowing to appeal.
I think if there's a deeper meaning from the sentencing, it's that Black women are being heard and listened to, and maybe, just maybe, there's about to be a turning of the corner. Maybe.
What's the corner? Because, again, I'm not here to pick sides. I truly, I don't care in most cases. But in cases where, all right, are we believing people when they report something, or aren't we? Why is it a constant political, like, it's based on too many factors at this point while we're trying to be objective. Like, if it's a man, a black man if it's Nas or Wayne or Drake, yo, free my guy, bruh. You know, the second, it's Cardi B. Again, I'm not in support of none of their messages because they're making it hard for me out here, bruh. They're making it hard for me out here. But again, we're talking about courts, bruh. Like, are they objective? Are they true? Why are we still guessing? Guessing at people, guessing with people's lives. All right, this is Henry Ruggs, bro, and this is the one that kind of ties it with Torey in regards to like what is happening with our youngins, bro. Like, what is happening with our youngins dropping the bet? They got Mikey too. Like, Mikey got on some gun charges. John Morant playing games with his life and a career. I'm so confused, bro. It might just be a me thing, and this might be why my life can be kind of boring and stationary and productive and predictable and uneventful unless I spontaneously plan something, is because I kind of like the peace that it comes with. A boring life is often confused with a peaceful life. Like, they have the same symptoms. But in cases like where you're a top 10 NFL draft pick, like, you have your whole entire career ahead of you. All the fame and fortune is ahead of you. You're just beginning it. All you have to do is just listen to your vets, stay on the right path, obviously pick a destination that is appropriate, and acquire some wisdom, some mentorship. And now you in prison, bro. That's outrageous. How quickly someone, and again, I hate to use the word fortune, but how often your life can change in a matter of minutes, bro.
50 miles an hour.
And after today's ruling, it seems the Henry Ruggs situation has officially come full circle.
Driving under the influence and crashing at more than 150 miles an hour.
And after today's ruling, it seems like we finally reached a verdict.
For the plea deal, Ruggs will face 3 to 10 years in prison.
And we now have an idea of what Henry Ruggs...
What does that even mean? Are y'all confused? Y'all don't know if you're getting 3 to 10? 3 or 10 to 3 to 10? Either way, I don't know why his sentencing for killing a person and a puppy would be anywhere close to Tory Lanez. Obviously, probably different jurisdictions and states. Who knows, bro?
Henry Ruggs' future is going to look like.
I have no excuse. Pray that accepting responsibility of my guilty plea can allow me to begin the healing process.
And there are a lot of people that are upset about this.
Nothing I could say that could articulate it any better than Mrs. Tinter and her statement.
So we're gonna break everything down for you guys in this video today. Before we get to the content, we're doing a massive Madden NFL 24 giveaway. Snapchat right now, so I think you have the best odds if you add me over there. Now that we get all that out of the way, break!
Shout out to Microphone. It's one of my favorite news sports channels. He has a lot of kind of clickbaity stuff. Like, he'll be undisputed. It's gonna have Jamie Foxx and Michael Jackson from the dead. His panels with Nick Dispute. Like, it's a lot sometimes, but when he covers things, he's usually very in depth. And so obviously I want to give him a shout out, as I'm using his content to bless the people. All right, Brad. Goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is finally back. That's impossible! But I'm gonna admit, the preseason is boring as I mean, when the second stringers and third stringers come out, your boy does tend to fall asleep a little bit. But I found a way to make the preseason all the more interesting. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are back! Posting prize picks on the days that there are significant preseason games, starting from the Hall of Fame game all the way to Torey. Picks are free, all you have What's going on, everybody? When John Gruden first decided to take over the Las Vegas Raiders, he had a very pivotal decision to make. You see, his star edge rusher Khalil Mack was seeking a long-term contract extension, and the decision was either paying Khalil Mack or trading Khalil Mack. Ultimately, he decided to trade Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears alongside a 2nd-round pick and a 6th-round pick, and in return received 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. A lot of Raiders fans were upset at the time about this decision because at the time Khalil Mack was considered to be a top 3 edge rusher in the entire NFL.
That's the issue with using other people's content. You just gotta, be grateful.
Made from the grave, if I'm being honest. Justin Jefferson and Michael Pittman Jr. The very first wide receiver that the Raiders took off of the board was Henry Ruggs. This is a pick that Al Davis probably would have made from the grave, if I'm being honest. Henry Ruggs was considered to be the fastest wide receiver in the entire NFL draft and was a player that could take the top off of defenses. So what about that pick that they got from the Khalil Mack trade? Well, 7 picks later, they selected Damon Arnett, a Ohio State University cornerback who...
And by the way, I didn't announce this because it's not really an announcement worthy, especially for someone like me. I'm gonna start doing a lot more sports coverage, just because.
Was the cornerback behind Jeff Okudah, who was considered to be a gigantic project, but a relatively safe pick, at least in terms of his personality. There weren't any off-the-field issues for Damon Arnett. Now, to summarize what would happen to Damon Arnett, because we have a huge update on that, Damon Arnett would struggle with the Las Vegas Raiders for a few years, and at the same exact time that Henry Ruggs made a tragic mistake, Damon Arnett decided to post this video onto his Instagram story.
Pull up, lame ass. I swear to God, I will kill you, nigga. On everything I love, I will kill you, nigga. You talking crazy. Talking about that 5 minutes away. The fuck? Like, I really did kill you, nigga. I really did kill you, my nigga. I will real deal kill you, my nigga. And I ain't the only one here, too, nigga.
Now, I will go out to bat.
No. And this is part of the issue, and it's going to be a running narrative, like, the group that you keep, same thing with John Morant and, like, Zion Williamson. Who is around you, bro? Who's influencing you? This is just another example of, again, your influences is going to be the majority of, if you just look at who influences you, draw a direct correlation to your future and what's probably going to look like. And you look at Mikey, right? He was signed to Puma in high school. It's like a 17, 18-year-old who just jumps high. He a hooper, for real. He's already a millionaire in high school. What do you think his trajectory is? He listens to hip hop. Guess where he's on trial now. It's just one thing after another. John Morant, bruh, you missing out on $60 million just because you can't simply get your life to get. Just don't post guns. That's it. It's crazy. People are dropping the bag left and right. And it's not all about the bag, but in cases like this is your career. This is your livelihood. That's outrageous, bro. Hopefully he gets more to the point, but he's very thorough.
Here for Damon Arnett, I don't think it's ever intelligent to bring out your weapon and threaten someone.
Unless it's for educational purposes.
Hell, that wasn't even on this YouTube channel. But this was enough for the Las Vegas Raiders to let go of Damon Arnett. Damon Arnett would then sign with the Dolphins before signing a futures contract with the Kansas City Chiefs before getting into trouble with a valet employee for threatening that employee with a gun after losing his valet ticket. There's been a lot of strange stuff going on with Damon Arnett as well, and I wanted this to be the asterisk to this video because in addition to this, we've been getting wacky allegations like this.
Damon Arnett, little football player that played for the Raiders that got kicked off trying to shoot someone or something.
Oh, yeah.
When I went to the bathroom, stole my fucking bust down Cartier
If my stuff get demonetized, bruh, because folk on here showing they
watch, took my other phone and Zelled them all my money out of my account. I have it all on camera, him and his friends leaving my house. Come to find out, he does that to bitches in the fucking did it to me. Bro, you that hard up on some cash, dog?
Now, Damon Arnett would actually stand trial and would plead guilty to charges of assault and drawing of a deadly weapon. The judge would sentence Damon Arnett, requiring him to complete 50 hours of community service, pay a $2,000 fine, and forfeit his gun. Following his trial, Damon Arnett said he's flying to Dallas to meet with the Dallas Cowboys. Outside the courtroom, Arnett said, "If I'm blessed enough to get another chance in the NFL, then I'm going to
I probably should have picked a different video. This guy is going
kill that." Damon Arnett's really got to come up with better word selection. I mean, come on, bro. The moment I hear the words "kill that" being quoted from Damon Arnett, I think of this clip.
The main point, because again, this guy, he went everywhere and like nowhere at the same time. I'm like, we get the point. The entire Raiders organization was dysfunctional, from a head coach and up. John Gruden, Devontae Parker, he'd been quiet. Like, it's foolishness. The point I wanted to make is that, Brad, especially as someone who's not exceptionally, wealthy and what have you, this trend of people losing everything in a singular moment. I've been in moments where, like, Brad, if my life, fucks up in this very moment, like, everything can go south quickly. If I get caught in this moment, everything can go south quickly. I think that's normal for most people to be in those type of environments. Hopefully not often, but when you see people like, so the last story that I want to talk about, because Henry Ruggs was kind of just a footnote as far as people know what he did. There's video footage. Like, again, there's 2 cars and a pile heap of ash, and there's 2 dead organisms. A human obviously and a dog. But good Lord. So Johnny Manziel, and I just want to talk about his story real quick. Not real quick, I have nowhere to be. I'm rushing myself because I feel anxious. So yeah, I want to cover this story, and I watched it last night on Netflix. I'm not a huge Netflix consumer, but they're coming out with a ton of good, sports stories, just in general, as far as, has-beens, potential, currently, reigning Hall of Famers. Patrick Mahomes on quarterback is intriguing. Just to kind of see behind the veil a little bit. But Johnny Manziel, we have weird parallels currently. And this is probably the most intriguing part of his story, was that I think I'm in a very close situation to what his peak was, just on obviously different scales. But we have very similar patterns in terms of, like, I mean, he's even eating Doritos, like, in this photo. Like, of course, it's my favorite chip, right? Like, more seriously and to the point, a lot of what caused his destruction is what I'm currently doing. And obviously not, again, on very much different scales as far, like, I'm not doing no hard, like, I love weed, but that's it. That's it. No. But just in lacking direction, you tend to just self-destruct. And in this case, it's the most intriguing story of seeing someone get everything they ever wanted and desired and not be able to handle it. And the reason why I'm drawn to Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, the people that are like the Geno Smiths, the people that they write off, and then we come back to him later, I'm like, yo, how's he still going? We hear these amazing stories of people that came from nothing, the Shannon Sharps, and then they finally make it to the Hall of Fame and undisputed, and then on to bigger and better things. It's those ones that fail at the top that intrigue me, because I'm like, what's it like to go from nothing to everything back to nothing, and then try to still, like, your name is still the same, bro. You're still recognizable, especially in the day of the internet. And so his story has always been intriguing. So there's a little article I found. Johnny Manziel looking to close Johnny Football chapter with a new Netflix documentary. Again, I highly recommend it. Pretty well made. He's very vulnerable, very kind of straightforward, and he doesn't filter hardly anything. I did spell his last name correctly. I am proud of myself. I did that by memory. Anyway, it's by Jason Jones. He says, Content warning: the story addresses suicide and other mental health issues. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or emotional, okay, we got it, Brad. Appreciate you. This is an interesting time for a Johnny Manziel documentary. Well, first of all, because ain't no sports going on, bruh. Thankfully, we got something to talk about, something to watch. And I know you guys can't probably see this, but you can listen. So yeah, he continues. Not that his captivating story as Johnny Football from college and the NFL isn't worth remembering. It's because there's still so much Manziel, now 30. He's my current age and has had an entire lifetime of achievement and failure already. He's got to be exhausted. I'm just now getting my second wind. He's got to be exhausted, bro. He's like 60 already. There's often a neat ending to documentaries. First of all, why did I choose to read something when I'm high? This is outrageous. With the subject looking back with a better perspective and moving on to the next phase of life, the parts of Manziel's life in Netflix Untold Johnny Football, however, reveal just how dark the times were that Manziel endured after his NFL career ended with the Cleveland Browns. He reveals he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He attempted suicide after the Browns cut him in 2016. He used Oxycontin and cocaine and dropped 40 pounds in about 9 months that same year, and he refused to seek treatment. He was accused of domestic violence against his then girlfriend in January 2016, but reached an agreement with prosecutors and charges were eventually dismissed. 2 agents fired him as a client. His family was out of answers. It was a dramatic fall for Manziel, who just 4 years earlier became the first freshman to win the Heisman Trophy. Untold Johnny Football debuts Tuesday, recalling. Okay, so this is obviously before it came out. But the reason I wanted to highlight the story, and obviously if you like to read it, there would not be a link in the description. This is by, this is by The Athletic. Yeah, everybody knows them. But the reason why I wanted to highlight the story is because it's a weird sensation that I'm currently in. Weird exchange of words. It's a weird, kind of like an emptiness space that you're in when you get almost exactly what you want, all of it, and now you have it, and now you're just like, what do I do now, man? The thought I had was, especially in relation to Johnny Manziel and me, that it don't have to be the same exact dollar amounts or the same exact heights. Like, I've never been anywhere near. My brother was a star in high school basketball. I was a great off the bench, maybe starting 4-man, but yeah, I've never reached the heights of any sport, at least not now. And so, in cases where you get your whatever goal you set, if you get anything close to that, you're just amazed, especially when these goals are lofty. These are huge goals. He only got one offer. He wanted to go to University of Texas, but I believe it was only Texas A&M that gave him an offer. So he goes there, and he's not really expecting to come away with the Heisman, bruh. The first freshman ever. Imagine the hormones that comes from a moment like that, where you're just experiencing literally like you're Michael Jackson tomorrow. That I don't think anyone can comprehend that. I definitely can't. One thing I love about my life is the anonymity. No one knows who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, who I'm with, why I'm doing it, how long I'm doing it. Now, there's an inverse to that because that comes with loneliness in moments that you want to be seen. However, we focus on the positive. But in cases where, like, one day you can go to Walmart and just kind of walk in circles and mind your business, and the next day you literally can't leave your house without cameras, where everyone's watching you, everyone's scrubbing your social media, trying to find the last time you said nigga, like everyone's trying to get you on something. I don't know if the mind's capable of handling that. And we see people handle it, but it's just when you see people fall, I feel like I can connect with those people more than the people that succeeded or people that are treading water, people that are still functioning in the limelight. I'm like, how are you not losing everything? Like, in terms of like your marbles, like how are you not losing your mind when like again, billionaires, you see why they wear simple clothing and they try to brag through their businesses, but you see how like they don't care anymore. A lot of them are a lot more vocal unless they're attached to companies. A lot of them don't care. They'll say and do it, and they'll be kind of weird and agnostic and standoffish and prickly. I'm like, there comes a point where when you have everything, it loses its value. And one thing I've noticed personally with the simple adjustments in my life, you don't have to work because we're gonna give you this amount of money until you die. The issue with that is that that amount of money is all I need. I don't need more. This is plenty. This is surplus. Surplus. When you give a person like me who has no kids, it's just me. There's a freedom that comes with that. There's a loneliness that comes with that. There's also a lack of direction that comes with that. There's a lack of ambition that comes with that. All the things that I planned on doing, I'm like, yo, if I can just get passive income stream that I can live off of. I thought it would be YouTube first. It's clearly not. YouTube is a great hobby. I just come back to. It's a small business trying to get off the ground. But I always tell myself, yo, if I could just get to the place, I don't have to work. Monday morning, I can wake up on a Monday morning and have nowhere to be, no one looking for me, no one checking in with me, nobody emailing me, no one calling me, no one asking me where I'm at, nobody asking me what I'm wearing, did I shave? Everybody's minding their business concerning Ray. That was my ultimate goal, was Monday morning, I don't have to work. I don't got to do anything. I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to eat anything. I don't have to PT. I don't have to work out. I can go to the beach every day if I want to. I can go to a strip club every day if I want to. I go to casinos every day if I want to. I don't have any reason to be driven, to be. I never thought that when I achieve that, it takes away your ambition. There's a cost. Of course, it's not all of it because I'm still doing stuff. But my desire to do stuff usually comes after I make a mistake or a miscalculation or I trip up on something or I go off the deep end on one of my vices. Like, you spent how much on weed last month? No, you can't afford that, Brad. You start learning. I'm now in a place where I realize there's a cost to every position that you achieve in your life, especially if it's related to success. It's a weird place because you love your life. Like I wake up with no stress. My greatest stresses are when I know I should be doing something, but I have the option and I tend to just choose. What time is it? 11:46. I'm tired. I guess I'll go to sleep. And order some DoorDash, bring some wine to the crib. I got my reefer on 10, and I'm just gonna lay here and scroll TikTok for hours and hours. So I have to force myself, go outside and just walk and scroll TikTok. Go to the gym, walk the treadmill and scroll for hours. Go to the beach and scroll for hours. Get out the house and go scroll for hours anywhere. I move cities every other month. I'm somewhere else. And I love the freedom that comes with that. But there's a cost. There's a direct cost to achieving what you want. And very few people ever reach their goals, especially if they're big enough. Because if you aim too small and you achieve it, you're in the same place. In cases where, like Johnny Manziel, he went from nothing to everything back to nothing. That I don't even know how to think about that, because I still kind of see myself on the up climb now that I have new established goals, and they're much bigger now. That I have to make them a lot bigger because I've already achieved the ones I thought were big, the ones I thought I probably won't get that one. Well, I got those now. But yeah, it's a dangerous place to win because now you kind of see and you kind of taste it and you realize you can win like Tom Brady. You can win all the Super Bowls you want. Once the moment's gone, it's just like a random brag that you can pull out your back pocket of. At least I got 7 rings. That's all. That's all. That 20 years of work is worth. I'm like, and it's a level of almost like nihilism that you reach where like Johnny had it. Like he mentioned in the documentary, like I had everything, and I was the most miserable. I literally had everything, and I was miserable. I identify with that so much, and it's the weird. I promise you, it's the weirdest place because I have so many videos that I've made on this channel that had the word options in it. I'm like, bruh, I just want options. I want the ability to choose, and now I have it. I have it within my grasp. I can go anywhere. I can do anything. And I've got to start really traveling. So it's a thing. But there's a reason why I haven't just hopped on the first plane because first of all, I know myself, bruh. I'm like, bruh, if I hop on this plane, I go over to a different country, I know my tendencies, which I'll have to do the opposite of them. But I'm like, I know I'm just gonna wake up early. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go probably find a water source or go to the city somewhere. I'm gonna try 1 or 2 new things. Go back to the hotel and scroll TikTok and Instagram. How much that gonna cost? Plane ticket. I'll save money on rent because obviously the economy is different overseas. But that's probably what I will do anyway. But the point being is that you start realizing no matter what you do, you're just gonna kind of there's something called the hedonic treadmill, and it's where your mind slowly but surely adjusts to wherever you are and makes it normal because it eventually loses its value that it once had. I used to vacation here in Florida. This neighborhood I'm actually in now, this Airbnb. I used to do Amazon routes in this neighborhood. I'm like, bro, this is a nice. I love how all the sidewalks are covered with shade, all of them. I'm like, whoever planned this neighborhood is perfect. And now I'm living in it. I'm here to the end of the month, and I'll be somewhere else. And I love the quality. However, again, the longer you stay in the environment, it becomes normal. To where now I walk out here and I'm like, the sidewalk when I first got here, whew, the palm trees, the flowers, I'm like the sweet sounds, the shade, and once you walk around the neighborhood 5, 10 times, and you realize, all right, let's go drive an hour and find somewhere else to walk in circles. And then now I'm driving 3 hours to find boardwalks to that I've never seen. Oh, this boardwalk's different than the other boardwalk that had water and wood and food. And I'll tell you, it's a weird place to where you have to look outside of yourself. You have to look at the existential to figure out, yo, what else is there, bruh? Johnny tasted everything. It destroyed him. It doesn't destroy everyone. Some people have the right people around them and they're able to stay grounded. But you see the people like John Morant, whose first thought process is, what would an op be doing? What would NBA young boy do in the situation? Grab the stick, slide on my fellow ops. If that's again, it's based on who you listen to. Who have you chosen to believe? I believed Gary Vee and Eric Thomas. What did that get me? Well, I wasn't going to them for relationship advice. I was going to them for success advice. So all my actions led to this current point where I'm like, this is about what I predicted. Again, I have the videos. It's even more amazing when you're living it. I'm like, I remember when I thought about this. I saw this. I saw this. And then now you're in it and you realize, why doesn't it feel the way I thought it would feel, even though I saw the view. Like I've seen all of this before. I'm like, this makes sense because yeah, it's me. But then now you're like, it doesn't feel the way I thought it would feel though. So now you're replaying your entire life, my little 30 years. I'm like, all right, what else did I think would be what I thought it would be? And then once I get it, it's not gonna be worth it. probably all those cars I want, I'm probably gonna keep driving my Nissan. I'm probably just gonna keep driving my Nissan because I'm starting to realize, Brett. Every time I want something new, like a new camera, a new laptop, Brett, I studied the M1 Mac. This thing is quality, Brett, worth every penny. But my other laptop did the same thing it's doing now. I'm not getting any more production out of this thing than I was getting my lap. You start reaching a point where I'm like, I don't have any more stuff to put on my cart in Amazon. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Ray, a minimalist, essentialist who, like, I don't carry nothing. I live out of 2 bags. I have my car. I don't have nothing. And I'm like, I don't have stuff to buy. Like, I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else. I don't need a better camera. My camera literally does exactly what I want it to do. It's the brand. It's the exact lens I want. It's my Airbnb is the only thing I can't control in this Airbnb is the temperature of the house. But I literally have it's an entire house, quality establishment, quality vibes, quality luxuries and textures, and it's beautiful. And then once you're here long enough, you realize, all right. The first day I was in here, I went straight to the couch. I'm just gonna sit here and vibe and turn on some binaural beats. I'm gonna sit here and just meditate. And then day 2, I just kind of walk past the couch. I'm like, I'll sit there later. I went straight to the bed. And then now I don't even look at the couch. I just go straight to the bed. And now I don't leave the bed. It's your mind. It's called the hedonic treadmill. It resets automatically. Before I joined the Air Force, I thought the Air Force was just the most amazing thing. And then you join, you realize, bruh, this shit is just like any other dysfunctional call center. It's literally the same thing. That's what I really want to highlight is that I think a lot of people are experiencing now probably what life feels like when you're actually have something to go after it and you're chasing something. I don't think anyone warns you that once you catch it, once you get it, now what? It's a scary place to be in. Like it sends you down a rabbit hole that a lot of people don't come back from. Trust me. A lot of these different rabbit holes that you encounter when you're looking for meaning in life, they don't got really a ton of answers down there. Like it's not really like, hey, the answer you're looking for is right here. No, you just find more and more questions. The definition of anxiety, you just get more questions. All right, well that makes sense, but then what about this? To where like the best sleep I got last night was because the wine I consumed. Wine makes you feel. Weed it takes away the feels. Like all of them. I float. Just be floating around, man. But yeah, it's something I talk to my brother about. I'm like, yo, just be aware. You might get what you want. You might get exactly what you want. And then what happens when you lose? Some people, Tory Lanez. I mean, he's been in prison for a while. Just kind of wait, throughout the trial, what have you. But think about like he's not coming from like a. I mean, who knows his living situation, but he's going. Imagine the whiplash. Mansion, jail cell. Mansion, jail cell. That's tough. People that are not used to living with other people. Then you go to the military and they throw you in the basic training with 50 other people. That's crazy. And of course, your mind has to adjust to that very quickly. That's why it's usually recognized as trauma. It's immediately flagged. This was too abrupt. This jump that we just made, this was not planned for. This was an emergency. This was a surprise. We don't like this jump. You could have eased into the water. Why did you just jump in? You just changed the environment. You were just at peace. You were just feeling, like him. You were feeling, comforted, and now you feel fear, and like you're being pressed, and you feel, trapped. Your mind is not very good at making those huge jumps, and especially when a lot of the variables are changing outside of your control. I've experienced that, and it doesn't feel really good in either direction. Going from a ton of chaos, a ton of movement, a ton of progress, degradation. It's a volatile environment. It's probably a good term. Versus everything's under my control. Nothing's wrong. Anything that is wrong is the only excitement I get and sometimes I self-sabotage just to get some excitement. That's the extreme that I just went from. The Air Force, chaos, things outside of my control, to now everything is in my control. There's a cost to that. And so, yeah, I thought Johnny Manziel's story, especially for those who are not achieving at the highest heights of anything, he's basically showing you that there's levels to achieving and falling short, especially when like you're getting all this money, but then they remind you of the expectations that come with the money. Like, oh, we're paying you all these millions, but there's a tax on that, man. Like we need you to be like your entire life consumed with football. Especially when someone gets a lot very quickly, it's hard to value it. I'm 30 years old. It's kind of hard to value, I'm gonna go work 12 hours and 16 hours and for what? I can just manage and maximize what I have. Take advantage of what I have. Let my money work for me instead of my exchanging time for money. But there's a cost to every level. You become a billionaire, and now everyone thinks you owe them $2. Don't hit the lottery. I'm telling you, people will remember you. Right? We were in the same class in physics, bro. 9th grade. Remember you said you was gonna let me hold something that one time. It's that quick. Yeah, I thought these stories were interesting. Not only because they're young men, bruh. Like Johnny is my same age. Torey, I think he might be slightly older. Henry Ruggs was like 20, 21, 18, 19. Mikey, he's awaiting trial, I believe. Oh, guns, bro. What are y'all doing? You see people like Johnny Manziel, and I identify with him more than I do with anyone else. In terms of like, all right, yo, it's kind of easy to see, all right, don't drink and drive. Obviously, you see how many lives and how instantly it's impactful on the environment is getting behind the wheel while drinking. It's kind of hard to miss that lesson. And of course, anyone can get got because it only takes once. The one time you think it's not going to happen, that's usually when it happens. The one time, like, if I can look away from the road this one time, that's when you get caught like that. And Tory Lane, I don't know what, but again, 10 years is different, bruh. 10 years is different. But when you come back from 10 years, the world has left you behind. You're a decade behind. A decade behind is crazy for a singular moment that may or may not have been avoidable. Again, I'm not passing judgment because we all hope that we'll never be in those positions where the world is kind of admiring our failures on a grand scale on a live stream. Like, now you see where they went wrong. They should have did this, Ray. What Ray should have did. I try to put myself in their shoes. I'm like, yo, what would I want people saying about me if I was the subject of a live stream? So it's sad. It's sad. It's sad to see a young black man. I'm like, bruh, Johnny. It's sad to see that. I'm like, bruh, you had your entire life. And your entire life. One of my favorite things Patrick Bet-David said, he was like, yo, avoid major mistakes. Just avoid the big ones. The big ones that end you instantly, the ones that are immediately fatal, just avoid those ones. The small ones are the misdemeanors. All right, just be mindful of those. Like, obviously, you got to throw some hands. You might get a little assault charge. Cool, but don't kill nobody, bro. Like, once he down, he down. Like, don't start stomping him into the dirt. But yeah, avoid the big mistakes. And it's painful to see youngins, bro, making the big mistakes, bro. Like the small ones. I would say a small one is like slightly below getting a woman pregnant. Like, all right, Zion Williamson, bro, you done, bro. you done, bro. The small mistakes. What's his name? There was a dude on one of them like reality shows. I was just reading the story. It was on New York Post. I'll look at it real quick. Bro made a small mistake, bro. He didn't really do nothing. But in today's world, you can't say that, bro. He even do not, bro. All he did was say the N word. Big Brother contestant Luke Valentine booted from show after using the N word. And the video is hilarious. The video, he just in broad daylight, in broad daylight, dropped it. And I'm like, the context, like it's not like he said it like smoothly in a rap song. It rolled off his tongue. Negress. And I was like, hell nah, bro. But again, that's a small mistake. Not kind of. It's a small mistake in the grand scheme of the world. Like if we went to war, no one's caring that he said nigga. But yeah, in the day of the internet, that might be better categorized as a major mistake. But you get the point. Avoid those big ones, bro. Avoid the big ones. The big ones, there's hardly ever any recovery from it. And the benefit of living in today's world is that you get to see, in a lot of cases, you get to see live streams of like the court proceedings. You know, all the charges being laid out, and like how much time he's getting for each thing. I'm like, bro, just to have a gun that's not registered, I get how much for that? And then I'm black too. And then I had that thing on me, bro. And you start seeing the charges pile up. And I'm like, I'm gonna avoid all those things, all of them. This is why I promise you, when I wake up in my body in my life, it's boring as hell. I kid you not, bro. To the three of you watching, my life is boring as hell, but I can make it as chaotic as I desire, and I can take it all the way back down to peace. I love having that range of motion. One moment, like right now, I'm just talking to three people, enjoying my peace. Then I can literally go to strip club, like this very cut off the camera, go to strip club, order like 10 shots, you know, nurse this reefer back to health, and just stay there for the evening. But the range is what I enjoy. The issue is that some people experience the range and they go to the extreme and they're like, yo, I like this extreme, and they stay there. I'm like, bro, you can't stay there, bro. No one does. No one does. You can't stay at this extreme where everything is fun, everything is high, everything is go, no breaks, on 10, all of it. Because the only way to come out of that is for you to crash. And when they crash, it's usually earth shattering. And I catch myself, and I'm not here to pass judgment again, because I identify with Johnny as far as the descend. You know, you climb the mountain, you get up there, you realize there's nothing up here, bro. All the material things, there's nothing up there. The new iPhone feels like the old one after 2 weeks. Literally, like it just goes back to, it feels like the other one. Like, bro, this is a firmware update. You didn't change nothing. I get a new laptop. Bro, nothing changed. Bro, my Nissan Rogue is not, it's not, you know, doing what I require. I need a supercar so people can know my wealth and my tax bracket and what have you. And you get that thing and I'm like, bro, there's no value in this, bro. Especially in terms of fulfillment, like it's going to wear off. It's literally a drug. You get the dopamine high, you get something new, the novelty, it's new. It's new. It's crazy, bro. But I'm literally living it, where I'm starting to realize I enjoy the comforts of this, but I really just need AC and Wi-Fi. I love this place. This place is nice, but I really just need Wi-Fi and a shower that's above my head and AC. That's really it. And you start realizing that a lot of people are chasing stuff and they're risking their entire life, their entire ecosystem. They're risking all of it, their entire name, for just a little bit more of if I can just get one more thing, I'll be complete. If I get, and that's where everything crashes. And it's sad to see it crash. Where Henry Ruggs, again, he bruh, you just got drafted, bruh. You living your best life. Your name is ringing bells, bruh. You in Vegas of all places. Like you could have been anywhere. You could have been in Cleveland. You know, you could have been the Texans, some dusty franchise. And, you know, Raiders kind of dusty now, and then they're dusty before he got there. But the point being is that, bro, you got your whole entire career ahead of you. You have to take enough time to stop and smell the direction. Like, I need to figure out, is this the environment that I want to be in long term? Does this smell right? Does this feel right? What I'm starting to notice, me personally, what I'm starting to notice, I love I love like the manicured environment like of Southern Florida. All my neighbors are like older white people, Filipinos, Asians. Their tax bracket is kind of identifiable just by looking at him. Like, yeah, yeah. The issue is that, Brett, I, I'm the only black man, Brett, the only person that looks like me in my age bracket. At what point? I was talking to a friend in DC, and I asked him a question. It was just a insightful question that I need some raw data on. And one thing he brought up that it kind of took me by storm. It alarmed me a little bit. He said, "I look at your life," and he said, "You might think your life is perfect. I look at your life, and like I see that you're lacking. Like, well, he almost looked at my life as like on fire. You're like, yeah, you think your life is going this direction, and you're here in this place. I look at your life as like you're struggling, you're going through, like you're not happy." And he's mostly right. The issue is community. The solution to all of us, and I'm throwing myself in here as far as Torey and Henry and Johnny and me. Community determines, especially in cases where a young man who has more time than responsibility, more resources than bills. You start realizing you need fence, floor, ceiling, and those parameters are people. They're not like limits that you set upon yourself. All right, when I go to the casino tonight, I'm only spending $30,000. I'm not taking out a mortgage. I'm not selling my watch. I'm just $30,000 is my limit. Once I lose it, I'm walking away. They never work. Those parameters, they never work. Right? One bottle of wine. That's it. Your rationalization, wine tasting for this wine bar that you're gonna start. It's a lie, Brad. But no, I need to taste this new wine just to see so I can build my palate. Nigga, no, Brad. It's a beautiful rush. It just works. At some point, you're gonna realize you need people around you that love you, that care about you, to tell you when you're fucking up. If you're by yourself, this is how these situations happen: is you either by yourself or you're around people that are influencing you to make these dumb decisions. And at some point, it's even beyond like rational thought or logic. Brad, if people are dying because of your decisions, Brad, there's something called felony murder. It was kind of brought out when they shot Ahmaud Arbery. I think it was shot, yeah. And basically felony murder is like because you were a part of how he eventually died in the beginning, you're tied to the fact that he died, period. So it's like, all right, well, just as I explained, I don't need to repeat it. Someone died and you were involved. Because you're involved and someone died, you get what they got. The murderer, and you get the same punishment. And so it's that thought process of like, sometimes if you're just around the right people, the probability of you falling into some of these mistakes, it just drops to zero. Sometimes you're not the strongest personality, and so you need people that are stronger personalities around you. So when they tell you like, "Yo, you look dumb," bro, you believe them, and then you kind of adjust. The issue with being a person like myself is that I'm not alone physically. I'm alone in terms of people that can press me, or people that do press me, or people that will press me. You got to have people around you that know you, first of all. I'm a stranger everywhere I go. No one knows me. I'm just floating around a beautiful state that I love. And so everyone I meet is a stranger. I don't have anyone that has met me like twice or three times outside of the Airbnb host. So if I have tendencies, they don't know them because they haven't seen me or observed me long enough. The value of community is knowing if I do this twice, someone's gonna notice a pattern. If I keep going here, if I keep saying I'm gonna do this and then I don't, someone's gonna notice a pattern. And then they're just gonna ask me. Hopefully, they ask you a question. When you said you were gonna do this, you haven't done that. Why? It's just a question. But having those people around you at all to just think they might ask me about this, so I probably should do this. I see myself, and again, this is why I study wisdom. A wise man seeth trouble afar off and hideth himself. He doesn't go confront it and like run up on it. I'm like, I heard there was something in the bushes. I'm gonna go see what that is. No, you run, bruh. You just run. Go. And I see myself on the path of destruction to keep it a buck. To keep it a buck. Because there's too much time. And you start realizing your brain, and it's not my brain, just the brain, hates being bored. In this case, my brain included. To where your brain will choose to do hard things. Your brain will choose to do things it doesn't want to do, just to avoid being bored. Boredom is amazing key to discipline. It's a key to being genuine, because you only do things that you truly want to do when the alternative is doing nothing. I always ask myself, especially with having as much time as I have, I'm like, yo, if you did not post on Instagram, you didn't post it anywhere, you didn't tell anyone, no one knew, no one would know, what would you do today? If no one knew you went to the gym, no one would know if you did not go to the gym. No, the beach, adventures, museums, road trip, flights. If no one knew, no one would know. What is your heart's desire? The same thing applies to like Valentine's Day. If no one knew that you were going to get these flowers, that you were going to get anything, if you could not post your Valentine's Day gift, your birthday gift, or your Christmas gifts, your new house, what would you purchase? What would you pursue? What would you chase if no one else would ever know about it? It was just for you and your knowledge and your experience. By answering a lot of these questions, you'll start realizing everything I've been chasing, first of all, it's easily attainable. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like, I'm not rich by any means. So when I realized this is all the money it took for me to not have to work, I could have just been chasing this number from like 12th grade in high school. I just need this amount of money to live. And this works in the most expensive place or top 10 in the US. And then if you leave the country, you live like a king everywhere else. It's crazy. Community is very important. And to see 3 young men, that kind of attain, a lot of success, the top of their fields. NFL quarterback, hip hop, R&B star, wide receiver, NFL. To attain such heights and then to go back to zero. It kind of makes you ask the question, what's the point? Well, what was the point if you get too high and then you fall out the sky completely? Wouldn't it have just been better to fly 30,000 feet or lower, or like? I'm personally struggling to see the point of why do we chase all this stuff and then realize, I can't handle all this, and then go back to zero. There's something about like once you're climbing, you're realizing, I can't breathe. Something's not working. Something is not correctly meshing. Something is missing. To keep climbing, to think that it's higher, is because I don't know. For me, the first thought is stop moving. If something's not working, we're not breaking anything, we're not taking anything apart, let's just stop moving. Kill the velocity, all of it. All of it. We're just gonna stand for a moment and just figure out what is wrong. Experience a little bit of boredom. Just don't go anywhere. Don't turn on nothing. Don't listen to nothing. I'm starting to realize I have a YouTube addiction, like actual addiction, like an actual addiction. When I block TikTok and Instagram, YouTube is still there. I think I might have a YouTube addiction. It's quality, but when you're meditating, you're just eliminating all the stuff, and you'll realize your mind will start giving you options and great ideas start flowing out of boredom. I'm like, you could be doing this right now. That video you just made, you click that up to like 500 clips. One of them go viral, and then you'll be rich, and then you'll be more bored because now you got more stuff that you don't need. And I'm like, that is a good idea though. And so I'll break out of the meditation, like, that's the whole point. take note of the ideas, and then go back to the meditation. Just draw it back in here. And you'll realize what you truly want to do is usually not what you do every day. What I do every day, it's usually not what I actually want to do. And I'm not saying you should follow it, but the fact that I can now identify and realize half the shit I used to want and chase, I've tasted it, I have it. It ain't all that. Every man in the world want to be over 6 foot. All of them. Nigga, I've been this way since like 6th grade. I got my growth spurt. 6th, 7th grade. I'm like, bruh, I am over 6 foot, bruh. What does everybody want with this? Like, your life just becomes instantly amazing. It's not true. It's not true. Everything you think you want. You get in the Air Force and you realize, bro, it's just a big old office with computers and desks, and I gotta wear the same outfit every single day and same boots. I'm telling you, no matter what you're chasing, you're gonna realize once you get it, there's something missing. And as someone who's still in search of what that is, I kind of have an idea. It's probably God or but most people that they'll travel that path, just like Johnny did, just like Henry, just like Torey. They reach the heights of things, and they'll constantly be chasing and trying stuff to where alcohol gets involved, where drugs gets involved, where partying, like the pursuit of pleasure, the overconsumption. And I see your question, Brittany. The overconsumption of pleasure. The overconsumption of pleasure. The perfect mental state is just, I have to keep everything in right standing. You'll realize there's a cost to that. As the days pass you by, there's a cost. There's a cost to that. Question by Brittany Davis. Did you ever get your disability rating from Air Force? I thought I answered this question. I did. I got 90 of them things, bruh. Yeah, I got 90% from the VA. I keep telling people, make sure you file your VA disability. You don't need to be in a wheelchair. You don't need to be missing limbs. You don't need to be on your deathbed to get disability from the government. You earned it. It's a benefit. Trust me, if anyone else were in the position, they would take it too. And it's also why I have a level of empathy for like billionaires, millionaires, those who are in those desirable positions, like wide receivers. I'm like, bro, they're trying to figure it out too. This is their first time on Earth too. This is their first time on Earth too. They don't have anything to compare it to as far as this is their life experience. All I know is that we take jet skis from the bathroom to the bed. That's all I know. So to compare it to your bunk beds and to say, oh, well, you should be grateful because you got, privilege. I'm like, I don't know anything different. So if they're suffering in their world, it's because they haven't lived 2 lives, and then in this one they're rich. No, this is all they know. So rich has no meaning to them. It's just a comparison term that, I get labeled this and I can't complain about anything because I got too much money. You start realizing, just as my mom is highlighting, once you get all this stuff, now what? Now what? I think I've had maybe every device that Apple sells, with the exception of maybe their early Macs. And then not every device, but like every MacBook, every platform, all of them. I use the iPad the least, and I'm like, why do I even have this? It's a smaller iPhone. It's literally a smaller iPhone, or larger iPhone rather. Lou Medic says, I've been handsome all my life, but my life has been rough. So it's facts. Handsome, again, no one has anything to compare anything else to. Unless there's a couple exceptions. One that I've experienced myself is as far as weight fluctuation. When I was in Alaska, I have some pictures, bro. I have pictures. Even in Mexico and Texas, I have pictures. I'm like, how did you not see it? How did you not see it completely? It's crazy, but the world will treat it's called lookism, the halo effect, all these different terms, where you're treated based on how you're perceived, and you will experience directly how when you're overweight versus when you're healthy fit, what have you. There will be a difference there, and a lot of people assume that, all right, if you've been handsome and you've never had like a low time in your life, or you've never been overweight, you've never been ugly, those people don't have nothing to compare it to. Like a lot of the times, those are the most insecure people because they've only been told their whole life, "Yo, you are beautiful, you're handsome, right? You got everything figured out." To where now the standard is, I'm beautiful, I'm handsome, I got everything figured out, I'm beautiful. That's all they think. That's their branding. My mom, shout out to my mom in the chat. She, from as long as I can remember, I've been told, "You're so intelligent, you're so smart, you're so intelligent, you're top of your class, you always got straight A's, you're always smart, you're always intelligent." To where that's my branding now. I don't even know how to turn it off. I don't know how to turn off. It's what I believed. To where now when I go into, like, I hear somebody's ideology, it doesn't. I don't think to like, what if they out argue me? It's not even an impulse. It's a weird position that you enter when the branding of something, is immediately applied to you. And so there's handsome, there's beautiful people, there's intellectuals, there's billionaires, there's rich people, there's people from the hood, and everyone's arguing, right? You have no clue what you're talking about when you perceive me. I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. So of course we should listen, but I mean that you can't have empathy for things that you can never experience. Some things are inaccessible. Right? What's it like to be a supermodel? No clue, Brad. No clue. Medic says exactly when I failed academically the first time, full blown sadness and despair. Didn't know how to. Yo, when I was in basic training, man. No, tech school. Just graduated basic training. I was an honor grad in basic training. Top 10% of my class, what have you. It was quite easy to qualify. All you had to do was get a 90 or above on an end of course test, and then a 90 above on the PT test. And then I was also a dorm chief, which was like right under the MTI. I was basically the head of the flight. And so with that little, prestige and what have you, I'm like, bro, your boy powerful out here, bro. Then I go to tech school and fail my first AFSC, like the first whole job, radio frequency transmission systems. I'm like working with radios and shit and like antenna. Well, I don't know what they were doing. Failed right out of that, just like a brick in water. Gone. Like, I probably should learn how to study. The shame that came with, especially when we were in blues and they see the ribbons and all that, but they see me on CQ. Like, bro, how you an honor grad? And again, no one ever pressed me with this stuff. These are my own thoughts. I'm like, bro, you imposter, bro. Bro, basic training was easy, bro. Of course. And so, of course, like, we look at everyone around us. A lot of people forget their parents. This is their first time on earth, too. And we're all just we're all trying to find a manual. And, like, some people are choosing the Bible, some people are choosing Quran, some people choose encyclopedias, some people are choosing Instagram and TikTok. And, like, I'm just going to follow this ideology. Well, when you believe it and then your life kind of patterns after what you chose to believe, you can't be upset. And luckily there's grace and mercy where, there's time to change and adjust. And one thing I'm starting to notice just my current place is that, of course, that there's a value for money because it brings peace. It solves problems. I kind of like knowing I'm not being evicted tomorrow. If I get hungry, I can grab that thing over there. I kind of like that feeling. I kind of like that. But once everything is solved, and once you're not hungry, and once you worked out, and once you went to the beach, and once you went live, and once you took a nap, and what else is there? There has to be something outside of that. And you, first of all, one thing I applaud that is, again, the value of community, of having family, of having friends, people, relationships. Building your own family. A lot of men, especially the younger generation, they see the dating market and they see what's wrong with it and like all these things. And I don't want to date people and commit to. Trust me, I get it. I get it. But the alternative, like the MGTOW lifestyle, I'm gonna go my own way, do my own thing. All right, listen, it's not a thing. You're literally trying to undo and go against what you are. It's not gonna work, not long term. Just gonna go off in the mountains and you're literally going to be seeing things moving. You'll be talking to people in the corner. Your mind is not designed to function in isolation. And you can try it, trust me. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's unfortunate. But yeah, people, people, relationships, like actual relationships, which require some level of stability in terms of location. I mean, not really because we got the internet, but accountability. The best things in a relationship, the best things of a relationship, are in person. They're in person. Like no one's ever fallen in love and never met somebody. Like I don't know what that was, indoctrination, propaganda, but ain't no way you've never met somebody. You've never felt their breath, smelled their breath. You've never been in their presence, and you love that person. It's not possible, at least in my opinion. Minds can be drawn to each other and be attached and enjoy each other. Again, I love Dave Chappelle. I love his mind. I love things he thinks and then says and plans and edits and says and whatever records. But never met the person. And even if you meet people, you're meeting their representative. You're meeting what they want you to know and how they want you to experience them and how they think you're going to experience them by the way they present themselves. We're all continuously still discovering stuff and realizing, the longer I stay on TikTok, I'm like, Brad, there's too many things to learn on here. How many lies have I lived as truth? I'm like, this is outrageous. We're at the 2-hour mark. I need to go do something different. But yeah, I really wanted to highlight these 3 stories. It's unfortunate, Brad. Unfortunate, Brad. Youngins, Brad. Youngins. And Johnny, luckily, is trending back in the proper direction. I believe he has a restaurant. Some entrepreneurial investments, what have you. So it's always good kind of to see, comeback story. I identify more with the Baker Mayfields of sports world. The people that are on the uphill climb, the Geno Smiths, the people that kind of we were rid off for nine years, and he comes back and makes a resurgence. Especially filling the shoes of a Hall of Fame, quarterback and Russell Wilson. He down bad for most reasons, but yeah, it's just interesting to see kind of stories of people that were kind of there's no way that they'll be successful, and then they are, or they're just treading water. Treading water is where most people are sitting at anyway. Like most people are just treading water. We're not drowning, we're not giving up completely, even though we might be thinking we are. You're just treading water. You're not doing freestyle. I don't think anyone is out here swimming, their best. We all think we are. Trust me, the people that are out here just who have no real responsibilities. We have options. We have the ability to be creative and create chaos and create, creativity and things. There's not really that much to do out here. Trust me. Like the streets, it's great when you need it. It's great when it's convenient, when you got some issues you need to handle. But you'll realize very quickly that, yeah, once you do all the things and the stuff, you've done it. Your mind knows it already. That's why the club, a lot of people, I've been in a club like 1 or 2 times. Bro, the music's just too loud, bro. What are y'all doing in here? Flouncing and gyrating? Y'all just getting musty. Y'all doing cardio, bro. This is not a good time. And then every drink is $17. Outrageous, bro. There's nothing out here. Torey has a lot of talent. I don't say that often about current rappers. Tough situation. Manziel gets job broadcasting. That's true. I mean, Manziel, again, he's saying the right words. Like you see his interviews, like he's saying the right words as far as his mindset is concerned. And a lot of people might have concerns, like, are you bringing the right energy to a given position? But of course, like Fox will snatch him up real quick. Like Colin Cowherd's always telling Baker, like, yo, you need to just hang it up. Be a broadcaster. I'm like, bro, he's still making like $4 million a year. I mean, again, I think Colin's probably making that much. All he does is talk. So, yeah, it's interesting stuff in the sports world and how it crosses over to a lot of us lay people. I always feel bad because I truly can't imagine. Is this? Oh. Just the thought, and I'll end with this. Just the thought of going from 0 to having everything you could have ever wanted, and then going back to zero. I don't know. I don't know how many people have experienced that range of emotion, that range of, you know, experience. It's got to be a lot, especially knowing how far you came back down, because that gives you the true perspective. Like, well, when you're rising, you don't really know how far you're going. You know, a lot of us are too hard on ourselves, so you don't realize how much you really achieved in your life until you start going backwards. And you realize, bro, my AC works, but what if I had no AC, period, in the building? Like, all right, well, everything literally is uncomfortable, immediately done. All the comforts of this spot I'm in, you take away AC, it lacks completely. But a lot of us wouldn't even notice like the small amenities until one by one. Like just taking AC alone, that ruins all of it. Makes all of it useless. So I don't think a lot of people realize how far they've really come until they start going backwards, and they realize you can lose it just as quickly, but mostly a lot quicker, a lot quicker than you attained it. That's unfortunate, but it's eye opening, and it can be depressing. It can be depressing realizing the more stuff you accumulate doesn't bring happiness. It doesn't. I promise you. I live in the best weather in North America. Some will argue California, whatever. I'm telling you, it's diminishing returns. You get the stuff, and then it becomes normal, and then like, all right, there's nothing else. There's nothing else, man. So it's unfortunate. I do appreciate everybody coming through. Everybody that, you know, chimed in the conversation. I believe we had sustained 2 viewers, and so I'm definitely grateful. 5 of you still here. If you don't mind tapping the like button, I'll be forever grateful. That is all. I'm about to go do something ingenious and adventurous and spontaneous. But I will see y'all next video. Appreciate y'all. It was good.